Today I bring you an interview with one of the most interesting members in crypto. He is Jared. He was able to create the most profitable bot on Ethereum. He is pulling at least $500,000 in profits a month. And in this interview you will see how he got started, the strategies he uses, things he is working on next, and the different challenges that can come up during your journey so that you can also reach a similar level of profits. So make sure to watch it in its completion and subscribe if you're interested in this type of content. As you know, Jared is the top MEV bot out there. He is making $500,000 or more a month in profit, pure profit. And this guy, Cryptic Woods Research, was able to secure an interview with him. I mean, anybody will claim that, but they actually got a donation by Jared here from 6.9 ETH, which proves that this interview is legit. So let's go through it and talk about what Jared, the top MEV bot, thinks about the industry, how he works, and what goes on behind the scenes. Let's go through the interview and read it carefully to see what he said. Today we have an extremely illustrious guest with us. We have Jerry, a representative from Jared from Subway, the current king of MEV. Thanks so much for accepting. No problem, just had a moment out of the sandwich shop. First of all, do you have any socials for people to connect? They don't have any social media accounts, so anybody that claims to be Jared, there are a ton of them on Twitter. It's fake. So don't trust anybody that claims to be Jared, especially on Twitter. Yes, I assumed so. Given your private nature, what made you decide to do this interview with us? Had a look at your product and it was great. It is the first MEV dashboard specifically that I've seen that looks accurate in terms of atomic profit. On top of that, if I were to do an interview of any kind, it would only be with someone familiar with MEV like yourself. Funny enough, when I first started, I used your Subway repo, which is one of the most legit repos out there, to understand how it all worked, and it even ended up helping draw inspiration for the name. So giving a short interview is the least I could do in return. All right, we will look back to the dashboard later on in the interview. So what is MEV in your words? What does Jared think about MEV? What is MEV for him? MEV is basically the extraction of value from the inefficiencies in the market, whether it be from price discrepancies or user tolerance. On Ethereum, this can be done by searching for value through ordering transactions in such a way to maximize the value captured by both yourself and the network. So what he's saying here is that MEV is just taking advantage of the inefficiency in the market and user tolerance, like slippage. And arbitrage is just inefficiencies in the market, and arbitrage where you discover what type of amounts people are dealing with and you can profit from that. Okay, then what is a sandwich in this context? Sandwich can occur when a user sets a price tolerance that is significantly higher than the current market price. As such, you can order transactions for first buying from a pair and then selling after the user makes their trade. To give you an analogy of something similar, in traditional markets like Taylor Swift tickets, some people will post it on a marketplace that they're willing to buy from, for 10,000 as an example, even though the retail price is only 5,000. I'm sure it's easy to grasp there's plenty of value to be had by being fast to buy them at 5,000, and I will unload them for 10,000. So he's saying here that sandwiching is very similar to reselling tickets. Some people are willing to pay more for tickets because there's a scarcity there. They run out all the time, so they want to get those tickets as soon as possible, secure their places, and for that they are willing to pay more. And that creates a gap in the market where someone can provide more, someone can buy those tickets and sell them for a profit. A lot of people think sandwiching is unethical. Some people equate it to front running in traditional finance. What is your opinion on this? So I can see why people think front running in traditional finance is unethical, but I think it would only be considered unethical if you have privileged or inside information. But if you are just working off the publicly available information such as the mempool, I think it's fair game. He compares the mempool to the news that are available in the public. So it's not unethical because you're not working with insider information. With regards to users who are mad about being sandwiched, to quote Thomas Jefferson, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The Ethereum community is trying to build a decentralized environment to empower users with financial freedom. But the cost of this is that people need to be responsible for their own actions. Sandwich is only possible when the user sets a slippage that allows for this kind of arbitrage. He's saying that, yeah, sandwiching is only possible when there is slippage that is not, it's a bit too high. Given it's a publicly expressed preference, if the user got a price they're not happy with, they should take responsibility for their own actions and realize the mistake for setting such a high price to begin with. He's blaming users on the fact that they have a slippage that is too high. So another example, during peak demand, Uber has a surge pricing model where users can choose to either wait or pay the premium price. Most sandwiching occurs when a new token launches and there's peak demand for token. Many users are willing to pay this premium over market rate to be early because usually there's little liquidity on a new token. And many people want to get in, so they are willing to expand that liquidity, that gap in slippage, which creates inefficiencies that are taken advantage by Jared or someone else. Many users are willing to pay this premium, and the vast majority of the value is used by searchers to pay validators, a tip to include them in the block early. You can see this as a user paying a premium for the luxury of riding the express subway to Valhalla. So yeah, given that, and that searchers don't do anything to mislead or deceive users, I don't agree it is unethical, but I can see why it may seem controversial. So yeah, he's basically saying that even though we as searchers extract the profit, it is sent to validators, most of it, when it comes to sandwiching, because they are at the end the ones controlling everything. Okay, yeah, so for sandwiching, your analogy with Uber is interesting, but some would argue that without your presence or without the presence of any sandwiches, the user would get a better price. But the presence of sandwiches now forces users into getting the worst price that they will accept, hurting the overall ecosystem. What do you think about this? It's very naive to assume that if a user chooses a price preference that leaves value for arbitrageurs, no one will come and take advantage of such an opportunity. Suppose a drunk person stumbles into a poker game. There's always going to be someone there to capture this value, and it's hard to argue this hurts the poker community. Moreover, as in the poker analogy, generally the user is there to make money themselves by buying before others and selling it at a higher price. I agree that without the presence of sandwiches, the user does get a better price, but it's not like it's impossible to make a trade without getting sandwiched. You can simply set a low slippage to not allow this to happen, or use a private RPC. There are many tools for this. Yeah, that's true. There are many tools, like Flashbot itself provides you a tool where you can update your RPC endpoint to use Flashbots instead of the mempool, which allows you to send private transactions. But most people don't do that because it's not easy, it's a bit annoying, and it's not as reliable as just sending a transaction. Furthermore, something that is often overlooked is that in order to be successful in MEV, you need to gain a very deep understanding of the EVM, and this research has plenty of positive externalities. Take Yannick Crypto, for example. He used to run one of the best sandwich shops, and with those skills, he managed to perform plenty of white hat operations on protocols, saving user funds, something unlikely to happen if MEV did not exist. So yeah, that's what he's saying, that the MEV, the fact that it exists, it provides a tool for people to save funds from hackers using white hat hackers. And it provides, it's a good thing because of that, users are to blame because they are the ones that set up a slippage too high. In a way, I see that makes sense, but on the other hand, I think users cannot be blamed all the time, because when there is a token with low liquidity, you almost have to be forced to increase the liquidity. Otherwise, your transaction will fail all the time. So they have no choice. But he said, like in Uber, you have this search where you pay a premium to get early. And users are also greedy, they want to get early. So overall, it balances out. All the economic benefits from every user are balanced. That's a very interesting point about positive externalities. I saw his post about a white hat operation on a MAV contract, but wasn't aware he helped save money for protocols as well. How about I now bring this away from the users and back to the searchers side? So this is an extremely competitive environment. So like you said, everything is public and there's a lot of people gunning for the same opportunities. So what have you guys done differently that has led you to being so successful? Aside from extreme autism, I think one thing we've done differently is instead of treating MEV as a pure computer science problem of atomic arbitrage, we added more of a perspective of speculation. Crypto is a very new market with very asymmetrical payoffs, so we spent a lot of time delving into the non-atomic strategies. To put this into context, from my understanding, the most profitable trade in recent history was the guy that bought a few $1,000s of Shiba and sold it for billions. This was much more lucrative than the profits captured by even the most competent and capitalized marketers. So taking inspiration from this, we've decided to focus a lot more energy into non-atomic value capture. So what he's saying here is that they spent, the team behind this spent a lot of time building strategies that are not just sandwiching one or two tokens. I've seen it myself, they have created bots that buy tokens that are about to go up in value. They predict that. The bot knows when a token is going to grow based on information available on the blockchain, and they buy that and make a profit on that. So that's what he's saying here. That's very interesting that you say that, because we've noticed that you guys did very well during MemeCon season and popularized holding inventory on coins like Pepe. How was your system able to identify tokens such as Pepe as a likely strong meme coin? Without going into too much detail for obvious reasons, we've focused a lot of our efforts into predictive models by using things such as machine learning or sentiment analysis to gain an edge on the speculation from this. Our model suggested Pepe to have big potential. So what they did is they built an AI, custom-made AI that uses intelligence from data that's available on Twitter and Reddit using sentiment analysis. This is a very big thing, by the way. And information from transactions, I guess. I don't know what information they use, but probably that. And that told them that the token Pepe is about to blow up. And I saw them holding the token, buying more of the token for a while. So yeah, that's a very interesting point. Okay, sure, interesting. So what are your backs? I know you hold a lot of Pepe. Are there any other tokens you are big believers of? How do you view the future of meme coins? Again, we are just very long crypto. Aside from this, I'm obviously a meme coin enthusiast. To quote the great Elon, he who controls the memes controls the universe. Memes are a cultural phenomenon that highlight the way the culture is moving at a particular time in history, and now on the blockchain we are now able to create memes in the digital space and speculate on their value. So yeah, I'm bullish on memes and try to collect as many as possible. With regards to ETH, we are also super bullish to the point we've kept our profits in mostly ETH and only cash out the bare minimum to survive, even if it means living off 2-minute noodles for the last 6 months while waiting for the bull. I agree with that. You want to keep most of your profits in crypto because that way is how you benefit the most, because we are entering the bullish season. Everything is going to go up. In fact, it's been going up for a while. But the more you keep in crypto, the more you're benefiting from these types of moves. Oh, wow, that's real dedication to the craft right there. Well, on the topic of memes, you guys have become a bit of a meme yourself. Since purchasing the Jared from Subway.eth Ethereum name service, You guys have become probably the best known searchers out there. How did you choose that name? Actually, it's a funny story. When I just got into MEV, I was out drinking with our normie friend unfamiliar with crypto. He asked us what I was working on, and I told him I was making sandwiches in the metaverse without understanding much about it. And thinking it was more of a game, he asked us what our character's name was. This made us laugh and realize a screen name was needed. With only remembering the Subway ads, he suggested Jared, and I thought it was funny and it stuck. Unfortunately, I didn't know about the and actually only found out from Twitter a couple months later. But by then it was decided the meme was already born, and since we are so bullish memes, we've decided to stick with it. So that's how the name Jared from Subway came from. Subway is a famous repository, and Jared is just a familiar guy on Subway in the chain. And I didn't know about. Alright, that's hilarious. But do you feel like that has potentially drawn a bit of a target on your back? There has been a lot of attacks on MEV searchers. I think it doesn't change much in terms of attacks as long as you're successful. As you're successful, people will always be looking for ways to attack you, whether you have an INES or not. For the culture, we thought to give our content a bit more personality would be entertaining. Yeah, attacks on crypto bots are very popular, are very common. There are people out there, they see smart contracts and maybe smart contracts holding millions of dollars, and they want to extract that from them. And since these contracts work on an automated way, nobody's really controlling them. It's just about they are able to bait those bots and extract the money. It's a very dangerous thing. You gotta be always willing to lose your money, because as soon as you're making money, someone else will see that and they will try to extract it from you. That's just the way it works. Okay, and I guess on that topic of, personifying and bringing the Jared team alive, are there any details you could share about your team? How large are you? All I can say is just we're a small team, anywhere between 1 and 10,000 people. I guess there are 10 or maybe 50 guys. Yeah, because there are many different strategies, so it makes sense to give each person a different strategy. Okay, I see. One achievement you guys recently had, I'm sure you're aware of, is you are now the biggest gas spenders of all time, more than even Binance. Yeah, I think it's a bit surreal. I've never expected to be able to pull off this when I just started. I'm just happy I managed to contribute so much to the economic security of Ethereum with a little leftover profits, of course. Yeah, man, they send so many transactions, like 1 or 2 every minute, that of course eventually that creates a lot of gas consumption. A lot of people view MEV as riskless, but from our dashboard we can see there are plenty of losers. What are your thoughts on the risk associated? Yeah, I saw myself bots that lose money on sandwiching or arbitrage because they are not properly optimized. It's just they haven't checked them properly. Yeah, that's definitely one misconception that people have with MEV, since the vast majority of trades are profitable, but there is definitely risk. And if you get into this game, you have to accept that whatever money you put in, your contract could be drained at any moment, whether it be a mistake from a bug on your part or something outside your control. Like I said, you gotta be willing to accept that your money may run out, and if you're making millions, you better extract some of that as soon as you can to some account you control. Yeah, there's been plenty of attacks targeting MEV contracts. What are your thoughts on the ethics of this? Well, there's definitely no clear line, as many kinds of attacks. Some are vague, such as Salmonella, where you can argue the searcher was outplayed by another searcher, but others, such as the Lowcarb Crusader attack, was more clearly a hack, as it definitely broke the rules of the game searchers play. Yeah, the Lowcarb Crusader must have been a frightening experience. How did you guys manage to avoid it, and what was it like that day? So we only managed to avoid the Lowcarb Crusader attack by the skin of our teeth. We got very lucky that a few days before we added some safety checks and random optimizations that let us avoid it. Had it occurred just a few days earlier, I'm not sure we would have survived. I'm still unsure whether it was from the recent updates we made or we just randomly spared. It was also a very eye-opening experience and a big wake-up call that made us realize even the safest contracts can get hacked for everything at any given time. As I'm sure you're aware, some of our competitors lost 8 figures, that means $10 million, and I'm sure they would have had very careful risk management. Even though you may think your contract is secure, there is no way they can execute functions without your control. There are ways outside your control that can be used to extract money. One of them was an attack made to the validators where a guy was willing to slash his deposit. He became the block builder and he basically stole profits from another guy or something like that. It was a very crazy situation, and some guys lost $10 million, $20 million from these types of situations. So always be careful. Yeah, that's wild. Any other crazy stories from searching? Haha, yeah. There was one day a competitor accidentally sent our contract $1.5 million. I was monitoring the bot and just randomly saw the contract was up almost $2 million, but unsure how. Upon further investigation, I realized that a competitor had just fat-fingered the entire bankroll to us and didn't know what to do. You wouldn't think someone accidentally sending you the money would end up as one of the most stressful days of our searching experience. It was really quite an emotional roller coaster. My first instinct was this is too insane to be real, and though it must be some kind of extremely elaborate phishing attempt, but after doing all kinds of overly paranoid checks, I realized the guy was generally did miscalculated of his role. Then, being human, as you can imagine, the greed sits in and you do a lot of mental gymnastics and try to justify why you deserve it to and should keep the money. But fortunately, after a couple hours of hesitation, we were able to overcome this greed and ended up deciding the right thing to do was to return the money. Wow, that's a crazy experience. Someone sent them $1.5 million, a competitor, and yeah, they were questioning whether to keep it or not, and they eventually did give it back. I think that's the right move, because even if you keep it, it's difficult to justify that legally, you know. A donation maybe, but still weird. So yeah, if something like that happens to you, make sure to do the right thing, return the money, and make sure you get it right way. Wow, only in crypto, right? Anyway, back to libmev. I understand you guys had plenty of time to play with our platform. What are your thoughts on it? It's obvious how fictitious data on financial instruments can be detrimental, but how would something like searcher profits be harmful to crypto? Also, any names you wanted to mention about bad actors? Nah, not here to call anyone out, but I think it's just a principle that proper due diligence is something anyone that acts as a public news source should ensure. I understand providing data on MEV profit is very niche, but for example, by massively misrepresenting searchers' profits as a trusted source, it would allow us or anyone in the space to easily dupe investors by selling equity or raising funds at an exorbitant markup with very one-sided information. There's plenty of reasons why healthy markets should be fair and transparent. Moreover, traditional news outlets without expertise rely on data from crypto-native sources for the most part. If they published an article about crypto based on trusted sources, only to find out it was invalid and have to correct themselves, they harm their own reputation and would be reluctant to publish stories about crypto in general in the future. A more common example of bad data that is detrimental for their space is their misreporting of trade volume for exchanges. Unfortunately, for this data is not publicly available on the blockchain and relies on self-reporting. But you can see sites like CoinGecko understand the negative impact and try to combat this with measures such as trust scores. So basically what he's saying here is that there is a lot of fake data. There are tools out there, I won't name them, but they are similar to this one, and they tell you profits made from bundles. And the problem with that is that usually they are wrong. They are just not showing everything properly. They are not calculating things right. And personally, I saw that it's mistaken many times because, to be honest, calculating profits on MEV is a very difficult thing because you have to measure, transactions that are complex. You don't know if a token is sent to one place or another. So it can be very difficult to track those things. But yeah, that's an important topic. All right, let's go with the last two questions. If you are still with me, make sure to subscribe, give it a like to this video, and leave a comment about what you think about Jared. Do you like this guy? Do you think there's a big team behind it? What do you think they're working on? Anyway, yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually up to my last question, which is how do you guys see MEV evolving in the future? We've seen many iterations throughout the history of MEV, starting with PGA Wars, Flashbots, now we got PBS, maybe enshrine PBS in the future. Proposer, builder, separation, that's what it means. How do you guys see things evolving and how are you prepared for it? It's hard to say at the moment. I'm unsure where it will go, but with any market, it's fair to assume there will be inefficiencies, and hopefully we can adapt with the market to capture whatever opportunities present themselves in the future. It's always a game of cat and mouse between current strategies fading out and new strategies being found, and that's what I'm here for the glory of the battle. And I agree with that. It's a very interesting thing when you're competing with others. It's almost like a fight, a virtual fight that is going on in between searchers. It's a very interesting thing. Thanks so much for your time. Do you have any parting words for those still with us? To repeat my favorite quote from Degen Spartan, your biggest risk is being underexposed to the industry you log into every single damn day to talk about us. You know it's going to go up again eventually. Bye, Pepe, and stay safe. It's a dark forest. All right, it was a great interview. Overall, my opinion on this is that Jared is a very smart guy. There's a ton of people behind this account in particular, and they know what they're doing. I've seen them move from just a regular sandwiching to sandwiching multiple tokens at once, to implementing arbitrage, to implementing just-in-time liquidity on one transaction, all of that in one transaction, and now implementing machine learning for capturing tokens that are about to go up, that are trending based on their factors. So it's a very interesting way that they do make money, and yeah, man, these guys have a ton of interesting technology behind it. The thing that I like the most is about the machine learning bot, because it's something that could be very, very profitable on its own, but combined with MEV, it's just insane. The amount of money that these guys must be pulling is just maybe more than $1 million or $2 million or $10 million a month, I don't know, based on that machine learning bot. But yeah, the good thing about MEV is once you have something going, you can build on top and maximize your profits in a way that would be impossible with a regular bot. You can, if you're buying a token, why not buy it front running someone else? You can get a better price right away. So it's a good thing, and there are many different strategies, and myself, I found very unique strategies that I'm working on, and yeah, it's a good, very interesting game. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like this video, share it with your best crypto friend, someone that likes crypto trading bots, because at the end of the day, we're building trading bots, automated high frequency trading, however you want to call it. And make sure to join my email list. The link is below, and that way I will be able to send you emails about new videos that I make or about content I found that is interesting. So hope you like this. See you soon.